Hey, what's up? This is your girl, Taylor Wilde. Welcome back to Wilde on Season 5, the podcast where you get the insider's view of the weird, wild world of wrestling and witchcraft. On Wednesdays, I just want to say thank you to Impact Wrestling for supporting the Wilde On podcast. Don't forget to go on over to the Wilde On YouTube channel and subscribe so you don't miss any of the weird, wild, wonderful content we bring you every Wednesday. Today's guest has been accused of practicing witchcraft by none other than Impact Knockout Rosemary. He has subconsciously manifested and executed spell work through music, which has propelled his wrestling career exponentially. He is the current Impact Digital Media Champion. He represented Scotland in the 2018 Commonwealth Games in Greco-Roman wrestling. He has his black belt in judo. He has a master's degree. It's no surprise that he was born in a magical place rich in witchcraft folklore, a place that also birthed two of my favorite Wilde On guests, none other than WWE's Doudrop and Nikki Cross. Both magical in their own rights. Say his name and he will appear. Ladies and gentlemen, Wilde On believes in Joe Hendry.
We're rolling just now.
We are rolling.
Okay, I have to stop being horrible
No,
to you. Okay.
I feel people should know our dynamic. We secretly hate each other.
Yeah.
But
I gotta be careful because like that taken out of context sounds pretty bad. Me just, being horrible to you.
Yeah,
and
why
whatnot.
are you? Well, it's a love language, isn't it? Being horrible to people. This is how we bond. I feel comfortable in it. Do you feel comfortable in it?
I don't remember reading about that in the list of love languages, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay, well, maybe there just needs to be a new chapter on how I relate to people.
Is
You
that
seem to be doing
the
it.
witch love languages?
The Witch Chronicles, starting with the love language.
You did give me a crystal.
I did
I
give you a
forgot-
crystal.
You did give me a crystal. I'm assuming it's good. I forgot what it meant already, but it's in my case. It's in my case
Case of what?
that I take around to shows.
Oh, your suitcase.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a
It's
little
in my
bit of-
it's in my legal case coming up.
There's going to be a little bit of a language barrier here.
Okay.
I'm already,
Yeah.
I'm
The
feeling
word case is a much known Scottish word. Anyway, carry on.
suitcase. Just like you call your trunk your boot, probably.
I do. Yep. And the trash, the bin.
The bin.
the
yeah.
bit.
So you stayed in America for a week.
Do we speak the same language yet? I feel like there's so many interesting little nuances that Americans just can't digest.
Not often. Although
Really?
I can't even say what it is, but I said something completely innocent backstage once, and more than one person thought I said something terrible,
Oh.
and I'm glad they clarified. But I didn't think my accent was that bad, but apparently it is.
As in, you believe you're absent of an accent? As in, not that strong?
The thing is, people in Scotland don't think I sound like someone from Scotland, and people in America also don't tend to think I'm from Scotland. I'm just a nomad.
Right. Now I feel that. I'm too Canadian for the Americans, too American for the Canadians. I fit in nowhere.
I'm comfortable in this box, but like, that's how I feel. I feel like I grew up in a city where I don't sound like I'm from the East Coast. I don't say out and about. Other things that are normally Canadian, but apparently I do. So yes, you sound very Scottish, FYI.
Yeah, I did. Speaking of that, I did an entrance video on a Canadian show, and I did a version of Team America, but it was I think it was something like "We're in Canada," and instead of the swear word, it was like "Yes, please." And I said I had a bunch of like Canadianisms in it, but I kind of feel like I'm probably gonna. It's funny now, but I'll probably get cancelled for it in like 20 years. You know.
Well, I'm sure I've been canceled many times for things I said 10 years ago. So ride the wave.
What did I say? I think I said sorry. That's what instead of sorry. Yeah. So you'll need to defend me as my Canadian representative when I get cancelled for that.
As a Canadian, I was born sorry. I'm not really sure why I'm sorry.
Always
But
sorry.
you're just constantly in a state of sorry.
Yeah, it's polite. We think it's polite. And also it's like it's filling blank air. Like we don't know what to do otherwise. It's just like, you cross someone's path, you're sorry.
I kind of feel like that's a British thing as well.
I think so.
Yeah.
So how has your life been affected since the Queen passed?
Uh I will say this. I did not personally know the Queen, but
Okay.
I think it's sad when I'm not a supporter of the monarchy, but I think it's sad when anyone dies. That's a granny, a mother.
That was a
But
really politically correct answer. I'm really proud of you. I expected it to go very differently.
I'm nodding for the audio listeners.
Okay, so besides giving you a crystal, I also told you about your birth chart.
And have you done any introspective readings since?
Or did I just
What was the
my
birth chart again?
Oh, God. Your zodiac sign. So by birth, you're a Taurus.
And there's like the opposing one and all that.
Yeah.
Scorpio? You have a Scorpio moon.
It was profound at the time, but I forgot the details.
So basically, I'm wasting all my time spewing all this spirituality at you. No, it's okay. It's what I want to talk about.
It's such a niche, nuanced thing. Like you've got to really be interested to give a shit.
Are you allowed to say the S word?
You can say as many fucking goddamn
Oh my God.
fucking things you want to say on my podcast. It's a witch podcast.
That's it.
Speaking about witchcraft, makes me think of music and my sister Rosemary, who is someone else who's also involved in the dark art, accused or lovingly said that you might be more aligned with witchcraft than you're aware. When you made your entrance music,
I've heard you say it a few times that you like specifically chose like a beat or frequency or beats per minute. What did you create with that song? Like, so you chose this chanting, it's going to be a hit no matter what sort of thing.
So, first of all, I think Rosemary genuinely 100% believes I'm a witch. Like, I don't think she's joking. I think when she says that, I take it with all sincerity. So I chose 120 beats per minute because that seemed to be, the catchiest pop songs that people move to. That seemed to be the beats per minute. So it's 2 beats per second, exactly. That was a very conscious choice. Also, the way that Queen write songs, they wrote We Will Rock You from the perspective of what beat do we need to use to get people to do stamp, stamp, clap. So I tried to reverse engineer it from that perspective.
Okay.
So I also realized that wrestling is a very overt art form. And what I mean by that is is pantomime a word in the United States?
Yep. I'm Canadian, but yes.
Okay, so wrestling to me is pantomime, whereas things in movies might be more subtle. I think in wrestling, you have more room to just be out there. So I can literally tell the audience what I want them to do. And because they're at a live event and they're not realizing they're literally being told what to do. It is almost like hypnosis.
It is.
So it's like, say his name and he appears. So people are conditioned that when my name is said, I will appear. And they have to believe in Joe Hendry. Clap, clap. And then again, giving them another opportunity. And then later in the song, it literally tells them to wave their hands. So I needed to create something that literally told the audience what I wanted them to do. So that was one part of it. What was bold, and I'm surprised worked, because a lot of the time when you try and overcomplicate things, it doesn't work. A lot of the time, the simple answer is the best answer. The song has 2 different BPMs, which is quite rare. Bohemian Rhapsody is the only other, well, as if, mine's like on the same level. I mean, it is, let's be honest.
I was just going to say, you're just casually aligning yourself with Queen.
Let's get rid of the formalities. Okay. Bohemian Rhapsody is like has a huge variety of BPMs. There's a few songs that do that I can think of, like Green Day, Jesus of Suburbia did it as well. I wanted the start section to be like a party, so it's very much modeled after International Love by Pitbull.
Oh.
in a lot of ways. If you listen to that song, you go, I see. That's the vibe I was going for. And then I wanted the latter half. My favorite entrance theme of all time is the Hollywood Rock theme from 2003.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted something that had that grandeur and a guitar solo like that. So I pieced the two together and had to come up with a way that they could gel together without it seeming odd, that it would just jump BPM.
Mm-hmm.
What I had to do was stop the music and just do a very long guitar slide and then explode into the next section. So I needed to choose BPMs where people were clapping their hands and then ones where they're waving their hands. And if you think about it, you can't wave your hands and clap your hands to the same BPM. It doesn't work. So yeah, I just honestly, I look back and I remember, being 4 or something and having like these Disney sing-along cassettes. And it's like one of these, it's just like an interactive song that people can get involved with. And that's one thing I've learned about wrestling is the fans want to be involved. They want to be part of the show. And the more that you give them the opportunity to do that, the more over your stuff is going to be. So that is how I put it together.
Well, that's why Rosemary thinks you're a witch, because that is literally the nuts and bolts of spell work. You set your intention, you chose your music with a definitive outcome, you chose your ingredients, literally beats per minute, tone, the beats per minute, manifested it and how you wanted it to reach the masses, faking it until you making it. You chose songs that broke charts and literally sold millions of records.
And you put it out into the universe in the most public platform possible, and you got the outcome you wanted. So
why do people associate like witchcraft with like, darkness, for example? Because I don't want to mess with that. There's certain things you don't mess with. You don't mess with a Ouija board. You ever messed with a Ouija board?
When I was very young, I never want to do it again, and I will never do it again because I have a lot of experience with the other side because I'm a sensitive person.
I'm happy to have those experiences, but I also draw in a lot of negative energy and I don't need that. That's why I sage every day, and it sounds really woo-woo, but the more open you are, it's all perception, right? Like everybody is psychic. Literally everybody is born psychic. That's why children have the most like stories or incidences with like seeing ghosts, and your parents debunk it and they say, well, no, you didn't see anything. You're just, being crazy. It's not true. And there's nothing sinister about it. The only time witchcraft became sinister was in late 1700s when Eurocentric white men wanted to take the power out of what was known as the wise women. Witches in their communities were always midwives, herbalists, doctors, elders. And for whatever reason, when Eurocentric white males decided they wanted to overthrow towns, instead of just becoming their own versions of the wise woman, they're like, kill them. Easier.
So, as a white male, that's what happens to my voice. Like at 40 years old, I'm just like from there on.
Just kill him. Just kill him.
So I'm just getting wiped out at 40. Is that what you mean?
Probably.
They were wiping out the witches.
They were wiping out the witches.
All right. Okay. Yeah. I thought you were sentencing me to
No. You're so far. You're okay. Well, I threatened hair loss right. Like
you did. Yeah. You said come on my podcast or I'm going to remove your hair. And then I was like, I would politely. I did not say the F word, but the sentiment was there. And I said, if you do that, I will just get a hair transplant.
Right. Where would you get this hair transplant?
We spoke about that.
Sounds like a lovely med spa weekend.
Yeah, it's too expensive in the UK.
It's too expensive here. So the only thing that is sinister about what would be perceived as witchcraft is if you work with or worship Satan or Baphomet.
I tell you what, that gives me the fear. All that stuff gives me the fear, right? I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it, but you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But I think I'm really gonna broach this lightly. But especially in recent months and years, you see a lot of that going on in the mainstream.
Sure.
And it's worrying. Like there are. Yeah, I'm gonna shut up there. I just want everyone to know if I get super famous, I'll shut my mouth.
You could say what you want.
Tell me like aliens are real. I'll be like, I'll zip it. You know how you get these celebrities that come out and I'm going to expose this and that, about like the truth.
Yep.
About aliens and the pyramids and shit. I will zip it.
Fair enough.
There's certain things you don't mess with. Ouija board being one of them.
Yeah.
I like to keep it. I like to keep it positive here. I will tell you actually, there's a film that I think ethically should never have been made, but I think so. It should never, and a film should never be made like this again. But I think it's very interesting. So, The Exorcist is the film that I'm going to talk about. Have you seen that film?
A small movie. Yes, I have seen it. Thank you.
I think it's the scariest movie of all time, personally.
Okay.
One of the reasons is because back then they didn't rely on CGI and jump scares. If there were effects, it was practical effects. So it was things that were actually visibly real. Yes. So they had to be able to recreate it. But because I actually had a conversation with someone about this backstage about ideas for like vignettes and stuff like that. And I was trying to tell them that like implied violence is much more horrifying than showing actual violence or horror. And I think that's why classic horror films are kind of eerie, because there's a lot of implied horror and implied violence. But it's interesting that I've seen some analysis of the Exorcist, and they say that there are a few interesting things that stick out about that film when you look at it from a different perspective. And there is actually serious neglect towards Reagan. So, for example, why would that, so that the mum is like a rich actress in the film, why would she give her kid a Ouija board and then go, oh yeah, off you go? Like, that's a symbol for how neglectful she is to her child. So it's interesting. And ever since I saw that, I was like, nah, Ouija board ain't for me. I've heard horror stories with that thing as well.
Yeah.
So would you say then, would you fancy yourself a conspiracy theorist? Are you starting to consume yourself with aliens and all the things that are going on in the world right now?
I think you have to be careful when approaching these topics, because I think confirmation bias is a real thing. Yeah. So there are things that you'll like. So let's just be honest, right? 5 years ago, if you went on mainstream platforms, you would be able to see conspiracy videos without issue. Whereas now that just doesn't happen. Like, you can't find them on mainstream platforms, except TikTok, right? But if you go on TikTok and it'll just say, oh, such and such, and it'll present it as fact, and half the time it just won't be true. So I think people have to be careful and not succumb to their confirmation bias. So there's a friend of mine who is, I won't say where he works, but he is very high up, very senior, very powerful person. And the type of person that that would have the inside scoop on a lot of stuff. And I said to him, I was like, come on, man, give me some. And he's like, look, he says, the thing about conspiracy theories is, he says, there's usually always a grain of truth. The debate is, how big is the grain of truth? Right. Sometimes it's bigger than others. And what I will say is, I did get super into conspiracy theories just before lockdown and COVID, and a bunch of things that were rumbling on social media came out as fact like a year or two later. Yes. But then I actually started getting as into history, because there are things that are actually documented fact that are as scandalous, if not more scandalous, than what is deemed to be a conspiracy, if you know what I mean. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. Like 9/11 is like a huge conspiracy for people. Like, a lot of people talk about that. They talk about, there are a lot of like questionable things, such as like Tower 7 and all that. But the truth is, if you actually look into the history of situations and conflicts, there are things that are actually documented fact that are part of history that are as interesting, but they just don't get as much attention. So if you go back and read about World War I, World War II, and even if you go back before that, you will see patterns emerging and facts emerging and timelines emerging that you'll actually start to understand how the world works. There's an author called Ray Dalio who talks about the world moves in 80-year cycles. So, for example, you get a generation who have things very hard Like, so for example, a war-torn generation, and then after a war, and this goes all throughout history, after there are particularly brutal wars, it then society moves to a period of expression and freedom. So like, you know, the 60s would be an example of that. And then that you have a period where, well, things actually become quite tough again, like the 80s. And then the next generation, they have to really knuckle down and help build society and the financial markets back to where they were. And then we get the prosperity of the 90s. And then now we're in another cycle where things are very tough. And this cycle perpetuates almost on like an 80-year clock. Like it's like to the year. It's pretty wild. And it's not conspiracy, it's literally the human condition. And if you read, I know this sounds boring, but if you read about like economics and history and stuff like that, you will literally see these patterns emerging. And I think when you do that, it allows you to filter where those grains of truth are, maybe better than you could before.
You're right. It's just history repeating itself, but conspiracy theories are so much more fun.
It is. It's so fun. I'll give you an example, like some fun ones. And there's a fun one. So I don't know if you heard about, there was, I won't say the name of the brand just in case, but there was someone raised concerns that there were like dozens of mattress stores with like no customers, all within like a few miles radius. They're like, why are there 10 mattress stores within a few miles radius?
Okay.
And some of them were involved in a money laundering scam, and there turned out to be some truth behind it. Let's see the real ones. I'll shut my mouth. I just want the powers that be to know that it's okay. I can get to the top of the industry. I will shut my mouth. Don't come after me.
Fair enough. You've heard it here on Wilde On Podcast.
I'll zip it. I'll play the game.
Also, I really love the term zip it. Nobody uses that anymore.
Yeah.
The last time I heard that, it was towards what's the PG-13? It doesn't matter. Towards a crackhead, and he was giving me the gears, and the friend I was with just turned around and said, "Man, zip it." And the crackhead didn't know what to do. It was just like,
what I just heard. Oh yeah, it was against a crackhead. Any context there, or just you running around saying zip it to crackheads?
Conversation. Yeah. Okay. So I was just walking down the street, downtown Toronto. It's not rare for a crackhead to come up to me and yell aggressive and saying like, you know, man, like back off. He was just like, hey, zip it.
As someone who's able to stand away from conspiracy theories and not associating with those kinds of things,
you had no.
Oh, no, let me be clear. I think they're fun.
Okay.
I think they're absolutely fun. Even the ones that aren't true. Like no, don't get me wrong. I will sit and watch these things all day and be like, no way. Oh my God. About the most tenuous link ever. But I am aware that most of them, you know, there's a grain of truth there. That's not necessarily the entire picture.
Okay.
They are fun. I just won't publicly align with any.
Okay, I do want to touch on something that has to do with wrestling. We just saw last night on Impact that you made a new song titled
Rich, but to me you will always be Edge's bitch.
Well, the best stuff just comes to me when I'm driving in my car and I'll be like, ha 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 ha. To me, you will always be Edge's bitch. That just kind of came to me. Like, because I had this, because the thing is, like, Matt's, you know, he's the OG when it comes to online content. He was the first wrestler that showed how to get over under any circumstances. And that's how you be a great professional wrestler. It's not getting over in ideal circumstances, it's getting over under any circumstances. And he, in my opinion, was the first person to do that using the internet in the way that he did and take control of his brand, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the dude's pretty successful, you know? So it's hard to think of things to say to humble him. So
So you went straight for the schoolyard.
You play with toys. So,
you also played a very believable Chelsea Green. As someone who's close with Chelsea, it's very believable. Great job with her mannerisms.
I feel so bad. I feel bad about it. I feel bad. Like,
you do have a soul. And
I feel bad. I mean, I'll still do it. Do you know
For
what I mean?
art, for art.
I'll press the button, I'll hit send, but I'll go, ooh, that was bad.
Does it keep you up at night, or it's just a moment of cringe?
So does it keep me up at night? Okay.
Yes.
Here's live footage of me at night after that video comes out.
Okay, let's see it.
That's me sleeping.
Another dollar made. Cha-ching.
So that's it. Yeah. Yum, yum, yum.
Okay, this moral compass that I thought might be in place, gone.
See, that's the worst thing. I think you're defined by your actions, not your intentions. It doesn't actually matter if you feel bad about it or not. If you hit send, you're still a piece of trash. You know what I mean? And I hit send.
Okay.
And I will say that's something I feel very strongly about. People will be, oh, I feel so bad. Oh my God. It's like, no, you knew what you were doing. You hit send. You're defined by your actions, not your intentions. So I hit send. So I'm a piece of trash.
Solidarity. And you know what? You're over. Yeah.
I mean, well, you said it. You know what I mean?
To my top 10 tailor-made questions, it's not a speed round.
Okay.
What is your funeral song and what does your ceremony look like?
The Gambler by Kenny Rogers.
Oh, interesting. Okay, and what does your ceremony look like?
I don't know, just tears, crying. When I die, I want to be just thrown unceremoniously into the woods. Because I believe, personally, I believe in a singular consciousness, and I just want returned to the earth in the most brutal way possible. I just imagine tears, hundreds, thousands of people.
Hundreds of thousands. So is this like a state?
No, not like a state funeral or anything like that. But just what I mean is, it's like what they'll do is they'll go, we should probably get a pretty big place so we can get hundreds in here, and then they'll go, oh, we should have planned for thousands. There's like so many people outside.
Got it.
And just they're all crying, and if you're not crying enough, you get booted out, and whoever's crying most gets brought in.
Got it.
You know, that's it. We want just tears galore, just a mess. Like, yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, so not a celebration of life, just mourning.
No. If anyone's celebrating my life, they get thrown out.
Okay.
I don't buy into that.
Okay. So if you could make up the perfect zodiac sign, what 3 traits of a human would you choose? And it's basically like, what are the 3 traits you seek in a partner, a friend, or anything like that?
I genuinely believe in doing your absolute best to never lie.
Okay.
So that's something my life has improved dramatically when I've made a very conscious effort to not lie. Okay. There'll be times where I'll say to people, not your business, or don't want to discuss it, but I will do my absolute best to not let lies come out of my mouth. Because in the same way that you're talking about spell work, I think that lies erode people.
100% they do. It is toxic, literally toxic.
I think it does something to your brain and your soul.
I don't know how people keep track of lies. I'm a terrible liar. 1, no poker face. 2, I can barely keep track of the truth, let alone lies. I would just be caught in a lie all the time.
Have you ever seen Wayne's World?
It's my favorite movie, Wayne's World and Empire Records.
You know when like Garth's under pressure and he's like, that's me trying to lie.
That's how I look every time I'm cutting a promo. Like, I am having fun. Sheer panic attack. So honesty 1.
Honesty would be 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think effort. Like I need to associate myself with people who not necessarily just like work hard, but just put effort into whatever it is that they do.
Integrity?
I think integrity is subjective to different people. I think effort. But I enjoy your attempt to dictate what I have in my thing.
Pick one more then. I'm trying to help.
Personal responsibility. I'm very big on personal responsibility. And when people try to shift responsibility onto others, it pisses me off.
That's fair.
Nope, that's fair. Those are 3 good ones. Okay. What is your secret supernatural power?
When I was a kid, you know how like if you put your hand in front of your face, you can kind of like see through your hand. Right. It appears as though you can see through your hand. Do you know what I mean? You don't know what I'm talking about. Right. So
Like through your
put your hand in front of your face and then almost don't look at your hand, look beyond your hand. And it's like, because it's too close to your face, you're like, your brain can't compute which like your viewpoint. You know what I mean? If you have an object and you bring it too close to your face and you look past it, it's like you get like this weird vision where it looks like you can see through it. As a kid, I legit thought I could see through stuff at close range.
I'm so glad I asked this question.
Also, like in the swimming pool, I would just like circle around really fast.
Okay.
So I'm just like writhing around in the pool. And I genuinely, as a small kid, I thought I was creating like this whirlwind in the water.
Yeah.
So I thought that was my 2 superpowers. Like I legit thought they were my 2 superpowers as a kid. Actually, there were a few. I was convinced when I was younger that I saw things in dreams that were like that actually
Premonitions?
yeah, but almost like you just see a sight in a street or something, and you see that exact frame in real life. I felt like that happened a few times when I was younger, but you know, who the hell knows?
Do you still do that when you enter a swimming pool? Do you still create a human Joe Hendry tornado in the pool?
I do create a human Joe Hendry tornado, and you know what?
Good for you.
Like, see if I'm surveying. If I feel I'm in danger, I just hold my hand in front of my face, and people think that I'm looking at my hand, but really I'm looking at them. They can't tell.
I'm on to you.
Do you believe in ghosts? And if so, do you have a ghost story?
I do have a ghost story, and I don't believe in ghosts, but this is pretty weird. So I'll tell you the story. So I have a half brother, and I went down to visit him, and we were playing Xbox in his room, and I heard just a massive crash, and we were like, "What the hell was that?" And it's just us in the house. Went through to the bathroom, and the entire shower had smashed.
Oh,
Like into like a million pieces.
okay.
And I just thought they're gonna think we were wrestling. Because that shower kind of looks like an elimination chamber pod thing. And they absolutely to this day think that we were just wrestling in the house and smashed the shower. But we were legit sitting in the other room playing Xbox, and this thing just smashed. Now apparently there is a phenomenon that if glass smashes, it can crack a little bit, but the entire shower was smashed all over the floor. And I actually have video somewhere of walking into the room and seeing it for the first time. The glass is everywhere. So we filmed it on our old phones at the time. But that was pretty weird. But I don't believe in ghosts, and here's why. So let me ask you this. Have you seen a ghost? Just yes or no?
No.
Okay. But some people have seen ghosts, right?
Well, what they perceive as ghosts.
What they perceive as ghosts. And this is what you have to ask them. You have to say, were the ghosts naked or were they wearing clothes? They're like, well, yeah, they were wearing clothes. It was my, great grandma Edna or whatever. And yeah, so they were wearing clothes. Oh, cool. Now, here's the thing. Where did they get those clothes? Because there's 2 options. Was it like what they were wearing when they died, or did they get it from the ghost clothes shop?
Okay.
Right? And then if they say, well, there's not a ghost clothes shop, because if there was a ghost clothes shop, then why don't ghosts come in wearing like brand new like Air Jordans? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So they say, oh no, it was the clothes that they died in. And then you go, oh, okay. So because they were touching the clothes. So why, when a ghost comes at you, do they not have like a meter of floor underneath them? And like if they had their hand on the bed, why is there a bed not like attached to them? You know what I mean? How does it know to just take the clothes with them into the afterlife?
But that's your perception that ghosts look like their human form, whereas like ghosts are just energy. They can take whatever form they want, and they're not human usually. They're like shadow people usually. It's just like an outline.
You
or
said shadow people. An outline of what? Scooby-Doo?
a silhouette of what a person would look like.
In what form though? When they die?
How you remember them.
How you remember them? Well, that's an inner projection then, isn't it?
Hmm.
And not a ghost.
It's
That would
like,
be a delusion.
I feel like we're going to bore people with this debate, so we should move on.
I think they'll be laughing their asses off at my ghost clothes shop bit. If I was ever going to be a comedian, that would be one of my bits. The ghost clothes shop.
What would it be called? Just that?
Well, no, it wouldn't matter because I'd be a comedian. That would just be a bit in my set. I'm not going to go chapter 2, the ghost clothes shop.
Okay, fine. Moving on to wrestling questions. What has been your most embarrassing wardrobe malfunction or incontinence issue?
There is one, and I can't say it.
Why?
It's embarrassing somebody else, but I thought something had happened.
Okay.
To that person, and then it turned out to be something else, and I was very embarrassed about bringing it up. Right? so I'll tell you after the podcast. But most embarrassing thing. I'll tell you. I've got one that out the ring, a WWE tryout. I accidentally spat rice at a high-ranking executive.
As in, you got excited and you spat, and with that, you spat rice?
This person was telling the people at the tryout, this is what you need to do. And we're sitting there, we're in catering, and I was eating rice. And while they were talking, I got a bit of rice caught at the back of my throat. And I thought, I don't want to cough and interrupt their story. So I tried to swallow the rice and just launched at them from across the table and went, "Bah!" Like, so this person's in the middle of a story and it just went, "Bah!" and just like spat rice at them.
Well, this explains why you didn't get the job then.
Hey, I've had offers from many organizations over the years.
Okay, fair. What is your biggest wrestling pet peeve?
Dives in every match.
Same.
Yeah, I think it's just the idea that like it's just not special anymore. Like the dive just isn't special anymore.
Favorite band or artist? I know that's a hard question, but ride or die.
Weezer.
That was easy. Name a movie that changed your life.
Genuinely, that poster behind me, Pulp Fiction.
Yeah? The non-Joe Hendry character movie?
There's no such thing. I am Joe Hendry. I saw that when I was 12, which was far too young to see that.
Correct.
I think that made me a bit of a contrarian, and I think that's what's always helped me in wrestling. Like I'm just not a fan of like the Marvel films, and like don't get me wrong, like I love like The Dark Knight because I thought that was edgy. Like I like anything that's like edgier than usual or coming at things from a different perspective. I don't like this summer. Here comes Superman again.
Well done.
Superman's like the worst superhero of all time. I like characters that are flawed. I like because I think that they're more real, and I feel watching Pulp Fiction, it just taught me that I don't like the Star Wars way of storytelling. I don't like a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. I like the movie to open and we're sitting in a diner and what the hell's going on? I mean, there's different storytelling methods, like, and it's again, the more you look into this stuff, like Alfred Hitchcock was really ahead of the game with this stuff. He came up with the bomb under the table methodology, which is basically you have two options if you want a big event in a scene, which is you can just let the bomb explode and then it's a jump scare and it's like, what the hell happened? Or you can zoom out and show the audience that there's a bomb under the table. So now the dialogue has much more meaning. Right. And like, so the Impact Wrestling example of that is the end of Eric Young in Impact Wrestling. So it showed you the knife right at the start of the vignette. So the entire time when they're talking, even though it starts off quite conversational, your mind can't help but say, is that knife going to be used?
So being the contrarian, who has been your most embarrassing crush?
This is how, if you want to know how pathetic guys are, right? This is the example, right? I remember seeing Batman and Robin when I was, let's say, 11, right? And you're just starting to think that girls are pretty cool. I remember seeing Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy, right? Yeah. Now, let me tell you the story. She kisses this security guard and he dies,
Yep.
He dies on the spot. Dead, right? This is how much guys don't give a you know what, right? This is how pathetic guys are. This dude dies on the spot, and as an 11-year-old, I'm going, I'd do it. That's worth it.
You're just simple beings. It's just physical affection or death. Well worth it.
Yeah.
So
I'd say food is another strong motivator.
I would say so. Where can our listeners find you? Social media, OnlyFans, where?
I should have an OnlyFans. It annoys me. I feel like there needs to be a men's equivalent of OnlyFans.
Men can be on OnlyFans.
Yeah, but, I'm not going to make the same. You know what I mean? Do you have an OnlyFans?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
I put the content out in the social media world that I want to, that I'm comfortable with.
Yeah.
OnlyFans started as a platform for essentially sex workers, and sex work is work. However, because of that, there's a negative connotation attached to the OnlyFans name. There's a lot I want to do in the wrestling business. There's a lot I want to do in the world, period. But I see things in the long game, and I don't need anything attached to my name.
That's fair.
That is negative. And that being said, I don't believe that's true for everyone. That's just how I feel about it.
Okay. If I thought people would pay me tens of thousands of dollars per month, I would my models would be whoosh.
And I don't know a man doesn't say that.
Truthfully. Okay. So no OnlyFans.
No OnlyFans, yes, sorry. At Joe Hendry on Twitter and Instagram. And yeah, at Joe Hendry on YouTube as well. At Joe Hendry 1 on TikTok.
Someone took it.
Yeah.
Very creative also. Joe Hendry 1.
Yeah, Joe Hendry 1. But get a cameo. Do you know what? I might not have OnlyFans, but I've got a heck of a cameo.
Yeah? Cameo is good.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. So grab yourself a cameo.
Okay, last one. Finish this lyric. Goddamn you half Japanese girls.
You do it to me every time.
Uh-huh.
I believe it's the same song. They actually make an ECW reference. Did you know that?
Yes, I do. New Jack.
Watching grunge leg drop New Jack through a press table.
Yup. Rosemary said it. Wilde on confirmed it. Joe Hendry is very much a witch. And even though he states when it comes to conspiracies or things too far on the witchy scale, he'll just zip it. But ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here. We know the truth. I hope you are all enjoying season 5 of Wilde On. I literally cannot believe we've made it this far. We're at a really exciting place. Impact YouTube is hosting Wilde On every week, where if you are a subscriber, you can get Wilde On, that's right, on Tuesday. Or you can hear it here on the Wilde On YouTube channel, or wherever you enjoy listening to podcasts on Wednesdays. I would not be able to do this wonderful podcast without my badass punk rock girl band, the Wilde On team. My right-hand woman, my queen, my bestie, editor and producer, Rochelle Douris, and our marketing specialist, the woman who does the things I don't know how to do, but I desperately need, Madison Golshani. And until next week, keep calm and Wilde On. Blessed be.